Darren, tell us about Prentice. You had him for 4 years.
I did. I'm a big fan of Adam. I really watched Adam improve in a lot of different ways, over the course of time that he was with the Saints. He was kind of asked to change his body a little bit, lose some weight, get in better shape, and I'll tell you what, he really had a really nice year, I thought, for us last year, both offensively and special teams-wise. So I'm really happy we have him. He's an A-plus guy, intangible-wise, off the field, just a great kind of what you're looking for, work ethic, all that good stuff. So I'm happy he's in the building.
Yeah, how lucky are you that a guy that you have that much familiarity with, and some of the other guys in the building do, happen to just be available at a time y'all really needed?
Yeah, and for me, special teams-wise, he just steps right in and he knows kind of the system. So the first day he was here, we had him right involved with everything. Very intelligent guy, really good football IQ. Really good work ethic. So again, real happy we have him, and I think he's got a lot of a pretty good foundation with our offense too. Obviously from being in New Orleans all those years. So again, I think he's a welcome addition. I'm certainly pulling for him. I love the guy.
Darren, you've obviously talked a lot about the need for kind of consistency for Jeremy. And
yeah.
How specifically, when you talk about that concept, how do you hone that? How do you work on that? What is that?
Yeah, I mean, listen, all you can do is get the practice reps. Obviously, we've only had 5 punt reps in 2 games, which is a good problem, right? Offensively, we're doing a great job. It was nice to see him get that last punt the other day, and that's really what we've been seeing in practice. I think it traveled 60 yards, and from the line of scrimmage, it was like a 4-9 hang time. So that's kind of what he did yesterday again. I think he had, I think we had a 12 punts out here, and I want to say he was like 10 for 12. So it's just kind of getting in a rhythm, getting in a groove, fixing the things we got to fix. But I mean, again, I'm happy where he's at. Hopefully he'll get a couple more opportunities, not too many this week, and we just keep going with the progression.
Do you feel comfortable, confident in there right now? You guys aren't looking to bring anyone else in?
No, I think he's in a good spot. I like where he's at.
I'm sorry.
Good.
What were your thoughts on long snap with Mitch Ferron before you came in, and what did you think? He became a restricted agent.
Yeah.
I imagine you said, we got to keep this guy or whatever.
Yeah, the special teams world's a small world. I worked Mitch out when he was a senior in college. At Arizona State, ended up signing Matt Hawk, the punter, his punter at Arizona State. They had a great operation there. It was Mitch, it was Zane Gonzalez, it was Matt Hawk, all 3 guys from ASU ended up playing in the NFL. So I've known Mitch a long time. It's kind of small world, kind of circled back with him. But I really watched Mitch, another guy that I thought had really improved. He wasn't ready coming out of college, to be quite honest. And to his credit, he worked on all the things he had to work at. He had a really good year. I think it was the USFL or whichever league he was in for a year, and that kind of catapulted him. He had some really good film, and then watching him the last couple of years here, watching his rhythm, his timing, his blocking, all this coverage, I mean, he's really improved. So it's great to be back with him. Obviously he missed the spring with some injury stuff, but I thought he's had a real solid camp for us. Been good in the 2 games.
As the roster deadline nears, kind of what's the process kind of with you and Sean working together to make sure that you kind of get your core guys on there in the roster, and even though they may not necessarily be the best guys for safety and receiver and others, but to make sure you get your guys.
Yeah, I mean those are the conversations that are going to happen here, within these next few days, and then after the game, it's when you're looking at the bottom half of the roster, Coach, George, they're going to ask me for my opinion on, the roles that those guys can play. There's some really good battles going on, I think. Going into this last game, I think that's one of the best things about this team is that, the 53-man really hasn't been decided yet. There's still some meat on the bone there, and there's some guys that still have some work to do, and they could show some stuff in this last game. I've said this before, I think we have some really good depth on this team, this roster, and it's going to come down to those roles that guys can play. What's our forecast for the starting punt team or the kickoff team or who the returners are going to be. All those things are going to factor into the decisions here, with the 53-man. And obviously, I'll give Coach and George and everybody my opinion on the vision of the player.
I know it's just a preseason game, Coach, but you going back to New Orleans, being on the visitors' side, wearing a different uniform, what would that be like?
I haven't been on that sideline in a long time, so that'll be certainly very unique. I did coach a couple times with Miami against Sean. Back in Miami on that sideline, but man, it's going to be a weird view. Listen, it's a short, quick trip, but it'll be great to see a lot of the players. There's still a lot of players on that roster that I still have great relationships with. Some of the staff. It'll be great to see Mrs. Benson. She was phenomenal with me. So that'll be a quick homecoming, but it'd certainly be great to see some of those faces.
Darren, with Sherfield's experience, does he serve as sort of a mentor to some of the younger special teamers?
Undoubtedly. He just he's got such a great persona to him. He's got a really, really high football IQ. And what he does is I watch him with some of the younger receivers, some of the younger gunners. You see him off on the side teaching, and then some of the things you guys can't see in the meeting room, off the field, arm around guys. And I think he's a really good example to the younger players of different ways you can make it in this league. It's not only, number one receivers. He's a great example of guys who can have longevity in this league. And there's a lot of different ways to do it. But no doubt, he's been a great mentor to those guys.